Took a ride home with my sister's boyfriend. She freaked out and now my parents blame me for her breakdown. My older sister is 22 and her boyfriend and I are the same age, 19. I'll call my sister Kate and her boyfriend Adam, which is not their real names. So Adam and I were initially acquaintances. We were both in the same year and class in high school and are now in the same university studying the same thing. We were never close enough to be friends, but after he started dating Kate, we did become friends and okay friends since we have a lot in common. I must mention I have no interest or any feelings for Adam. But when Adam and I kind of became friends, my sister didn't like it, which is understandable, so I kept my distance like she wanted, but Adam and I had to still end up speaking because we have a few classes together, but we only really talk about school or when it has to do with a class or anything Kate related. So Adam had been invited by Kate over for dinner and he asked me if I wanted a ride home in his car since we were still going to the same place after all. I didn't think much of it, so I agreed, and we had just come from evening classes and it was dark out and I was too exhausted. Most of the time during the ride, I was actually asleep, so we didn't even talk at all. But when we went into the house, I was heading up to my room when Kate grabbed me and pulled me back and asked why Adam and I came back together. Adam immediately tried to tell her why, but she started shouting at him and telling him to stop talking for me and to stop defending me too. Her shouting caused my parents to rush to us. She then started screaming at me, telling me to stop being jealous and to find my own man to drive me home. She then said she's noticed everything and she hates how I think every man wants me, and she called me desperate too. She was also tightly grabbing me, digging her nails in my wrist, which hurt, so I yanked my arm off and she shoved me. Adam tried to hold her back, but she began to scream and cry for him to stop defending me and that he was her boyfriend and not mine. My parents tried to calm her down, but she was shaking and breathing like heavily and fast. She was also looking at me and I felt and still feel so shaken up by the scene. My mom started yelling at me to leave the room until she was better and said that I was triggering her more by being there. I felt confused and accused. So I tried to tell them that I had no idea what I did wrong and tried to explain, but my sister started to make these sounds while shaking and like panting and glaring at me, which honestly scared me. My mom yelled at me to leave again and I did. I heard them ask Adam to leave too and he also did, and later texted me and asked me if my sister was okay, but I honestly have been too scared to leave my room. I feel a bit scared that my sister might do something to me. And I've honestly cried a lot and I feel a bit shaken up because of seeing my sister like that. I don't know if it's a panic attack or a breakdown. But she looked more angry than anything. I feel a bit responsible for her having such a reaction since she told me before to stay away from Adam, so I wish I never took the ride home with him. I don't know who to talk to about this and I'm still in my room. I know I've said this a lot already, but I'm genuinely scared to leave my room because of everything. And I feel like my parents both think it's my fault for my sister acting that way. Update 1. I would first like to begin by saying that everyone was right. I should have left my house for some time after Kate had such a reaction towards me. So after Kate's meltdown a week ago, Adam actually started keeping his distance from Kate and our family. I did too. I'd only leave my room to go to school or to get dinner, which I had in my room. My mom also advised me to do that because she was worried about how Kate would be to me. Especially since Adam wasn't talking to her much at the moment. But he would still text me occasionally if he had something to tell me about in terms of school, but he wouldn't even ask about Kate. So about 3 or so days after that happened, I was at school and got a text from Kate and she basically told me that she hated me and that if I come home that day she'd actually kill me. I was so confused. I didn't know what I had done since I hadn't spoken to her for some time. I forwarded the message to my parents and I was also upset since she was threatening me out of nowhere, plus she was insulting me a lot too. Kate called me and when I answered she was crying and screaming at me saying it's my fault. And that I never want to see her happy. And I took away someone so important to her just because I don't have a man for myself. I tried to tell her first that I didn't know what happened, but she kept saying, "Liar. It's your fault. Liar. It's your fault." Then when I hang up and went to ask Adam about it, he told me he had ended things because Kate had started not only calling his phone a lot but also his parents. She was also texting his friends on Instagram asking them to talk to him so that he could talk to her again. Adam also said that she started threatening him too. But with her life. Like saying if he actually leaves her she's going to kill herself and it will be his fault. I didn't believe him at first actually, since I had never seen or heard my sister being like that. So he showed me the texts as proof and told me that he couldn't handle being in such a relationship since he was now afraid of her. Then he said he was also scared of me or interacting with me just in case Kate would hurt me again for it. I called my mom and tried to explain everything to her after I was done with all my classes, and I even had Adam there to speak to them just in case she wouldn't believe me or wouldn't believe what Adam had told me, but my mom just started yelling at me. She told me that what I was doing was wrong. Like communicating with someone who caused my sister so much pain, and even trying to get her to speak to him. She then refused to speak to him or even hear the reason he broke up with her because all he did was hurt Kate to her, and said that me continuing to speak to him meant I didn't care about my sister. I then told her how Kate was threatening me and she told me that it was just out of anger and that I should stay away from Adam if I don't want to make Kate angrier. I kept trying to get her to understand how I felt, but she kept dismissing me so much and yelling at me too that I cried and had to end the call. I stayed in school with Adam for some time and we spoke about what I should do. And mostly because I was just scared of going home and wanted to talk to someone who understood me. Not to trigger Kate, Kate was spamming me with texts asking if I was with Adam and what was taking me so long to go home. She was also calling me a lot, and when I didn't answer her calls, she called me through my mom's phone, and when I answered and heard it was her, I hang up after she said she knew I was with Adam. I honestly felt so exhausted by all of this and had to even face the fear of asking a friend who slept in the dorms if I can stay with her. I told her everything too, and we're close, so I've been here for a few days. I told my parents that I was with a friend to prep for some exams, and both of them, especially my father, insist I go home. Especially since I'm the youngest. They don't trust me to stay out of home since first I have nothing on me, but I'm actually just scared to go home that I don't care. My parents think I'm overreacting about Kate's threats and even made me speak to her on the phone, and she told me she didn't mean it, but I don't believe her. They're saying I'm trying to ruin Kate's name by involving others into family matters. Like what? I had to turn my phone off for some time because of Kate constantly calling and texting threats and insults to me. And when I'd tell my parents, they literally made excuses. Oh. And on Saturday all three of them came to my school to try and find me. I was lucky not to bump into them, but Adam and one of my other friends unfortunately were spotted by Kate, but Adam didn't want to talk to them, so he avoided them and warned me about it, and my friend who did talk to them told me my sister asked her if I was staying with Adam, and my parents told her to tell me to come home and to take their calls. Update 2. The hardest part about this was having to move out of the house I grew up in. It was really hard to go back. I actually felt worried, but I decided to go back home today when both of my parents were at home, and I also went with a friend just in case. Plus I had time since my classes were all in the evening. My family have this obsession with keeping the family image good, and I kind of surprised them by coming back so suddenly and with a guest, I think. I first of all sat down with them, and my friend went upstairs to my room to begin the packing and obviously to give us space. My parents then started talking in silent tones, basically telling me to stop being dramatic and stop dragging this issue out, and that it has already happened and I should just forget it and come back home. I first asked if I can stay in the campus accommodation or the apartments close to school, since I'm actually doing my finals exams from Thursday and I wanted to stay in school where I can focus on just school. I thought this approach would work since my parents are pretty strict about school, but my parents refused immediately. My father said that I wasn't allowed to until I was older, and my mother said she knows it's because of Kate. I then told them I've already decided that that's what I want and I'll do it anyway, and my father threatened to stop paying my fees. He also told me to think about what our other family members would think and that I'd have a lot of time in our house with my sister during the summer break to make up. But I dreaded actually living so much time in the same place as Kate. Plus I asked the school already about summer housing, and it is allowed in my school, but you have to pay a different price, which I expected my parents not to agree to pay. My friend came downstairs while we were talking and called me to the side, and then she told me that she was looking for a suitcase, and then Kate burst inside and was like lunging to her, but then stopped when she realized it wasn't me. She said she was scared and wanted to leave, and I felt scared too. I took my friend to my parents and told her to repeat what she just told me, and my mom just sighed. She told me to go if I want and see how I'll survive without them. I looked at my dad, but he didn't say anything. I asked if I was allowed to leave, and my dad said I can go, but as long as I wasn't under his protection, I shouldn't expect anything from them. Frown. My friend said to me that it was okay and she'll help me pack. So I asked my parents to tell Kate to come downstairs, and mom said she can do whatever she wants since she lived there. So me and my friend just went upstairs, and my room was wide open, and my friend and I actually hesitated to go in, but she wasn't there. I packed most of my clothes. Not everything. Then we left immediately after. I decided to speak to the school with my friend more on on-campus housing and explained my entire situation, and I was actually allowed to have it if I took summer classes or if I took internship, but since I'm a freshman it would be harder to do internship, so I am choosing to do summer classes. Sorry for that, me. I was then asked to speak to the campus safety officers concerning my sister and the threats she made against me. But I'll go with Adam tomorrow. Since we both have evidence, and I had a lot of work having to bring my stuff to the dorms as well as having an evening class to prepare for. I called my father afterwards and told him about it, the housing and fees, and then I asked again if he was really not going to pay my fees or support my other expenses. He said that he'd pay for school fees and the housing, but I'd have to figure everything else out. Like food and stuff, which I think is manageable. Now regarding pressing charges, I don't want to risk being cut off financially by my parents since I am not ready to pay for my own fees yet. Plus after I blocked my sister, she stopped bothering me. But after my friend told me that she lunged at her when she came back home, I'm worried she'll do that again to me, and a lot of comments in my posts have given me scenarios which made her scarier to me. But Adam wants to file a restraining order against her. For some reason he doesn't have her blocked, just muted, but he views all her texts and even forwards some to me or sends screen recordings of voice notes she sent to him. And yes, we are actively communicating because we are going through the same issue. I hope to just receive protection from Kate, even if it means spending my entire summer in school, I'll do it. I'm not sure what's going to happen tomorrow, but even now, the school has said they're not letting people to the dorms area, so I'll be safe until then. To the people hating on me for not pressing charges earlier, I hope you understand I fully depend on my parents for everything. I was worried that if I did, I'd be cut off. But after my finals, I want to try and get a job so I can earn some money during the summer, and hopefully, I'll get used to such independence. This is my final update. Update 3 first, let's start with campus security. I met with one of their officers, along with Adam, who for all his awkwardness is turning into a surprisingly solid friend through all this. We separately handed in all the messages, screenshots, and the slew of voicemails Kate and our parents bombarded us with, as well as Adam's side about the breakup and the escalation afterward. Campus security was way more receptive than I expected. They'd apparently had a few incidents with persistent family members harassing students on campus before, though never something this explosive. Something about seeing the officer read Kate's "I will kill you if you come home" texts and watch Adam's voicemails gave me this bizarre sense of validation and dread at the same time. It's not like I wanted my sister labeled as dangerous, but it's one thing to get "she's just emotional" from parents, and another for a professional to look at you and quietly say, "You are right to feel unsafe." In the most unexpected twist, when security reached out to my parents to inform them that Kate would not be permitted on campus, my father absolutely lost it on the poor woman handling the call. He accused the university of destroying family unity and being manipulated by children. My mom attempted to intervene but started crying loudly. They did not take it well that I dared to bring outsiders into a family situation. But rules are rules, and after a back and forth that I honestly wish I could have witnessed, security gave me the summary: Kate was officially banned from all university property unless invited and monitored. Meanwhile, back at my dorm, my friend who let me crash with her made it clear I was welcome as long as needed, and honestly, she's been my absolute rock in this. We've been prepping for finals, watching dumb reality TV late at night, and eating more instant noodles than I care to admit, hoping this is not what adult independence is always like, but small price to pay for not living in Fear House. I thought maybe, just maybe, Kate would get the message. But, of course, no. It escalated. 3 nights ago, while I was up late studying, I started getting WhatsApp messages from a number I didn't recognize. It was Kate using a new number. She'd never used WhatsApp before, pages and pages of voice recordings, some calm but weepy and some borderline unhinged. She alternated between apologizing, telling me I ruined her only chance at real love, to threatening to show everyone what a liar you are, to promising to send everyone the truth about what you did. There was even a line about how if I don't fix this with Adam for her, she'll make things impossible for you. Not even 2 hours later, Adam called me. Turns out Kate emailed his university department head, yes, really, claiming he plagiarized one of his final projects, complete with proof that was just text she copy-pasted from a group chat and tried to pass off as original work. The department saw instantly it was nonsense, but Adam was humiliated and had to spend an hour with the academic coordinator explaining the whole bizarre story from start to finish. When he told them about the previous threats and harassment, they gave him an appointment with student wellness, just to check in. That's when campus security finally reached out to me, again, and said that there's a pattern here. Multiple attempts at reputation sabotage and sending threatening messages, all stemming from off-campus but directly targeting campus life. Adam and I had to give more statements, and now, apparently, the university is considering contacting my parents directly about Kate's mental health. I do not envy them. Fun fact, Kate somehow found out and started an Instagram spam campaign tagging Adam and me in posts about betrayal, backstabbers, and, my favorite, obscure memes about snakes. What really gutted me, though, was that Dad finally called. Not to apologize, not to ask if I was safe, but to tell me that my antics had made the whole extended family aware and humiliated him. He told me, "You are stitching this family's shame in public." I lost it. I actually screamed at him on the phone that I felt like I never had a family, only a performance group that cared what the neighbors thought. He called me ungrateful and hung up. And that's when my mom called me separately. This was last night. Suddenly, she was soft-spoken and sad. She didn't yell. She told me Kate has barely been eating, is sunk into her bed and talks to herself some days. She asked me, gently, if I could forgive Kate, and if I was willing to meet with a family therapist. She said, "Your father and I will pay, but only if you meet us together and do not bring Adam." Is it progress? Maybe. A tiny light, but I'm not sure how real it is. So, where does that leave me? Campus housing is official for the summer. I'm in the process of getting a job, cafeteria position for now, but it's a start. Adam and I are, honestly, way closer friends at this point, trauma bonded or whatever you want to call it. We both have a running joke now that if one of us gets a text from an unknown number, it's time to bunker down with popcorn. The university issued Adam a letter stating that if any further defamation attempts happen, it will be a legal matter and the school will support him if he takes it further. For me, security has extended the no contact order on campus to the entire summer session. To be absolutely clear, I still haven't pressed charges, partly because I'm terrified of being cut off, but also because I do not want to cause irredeemable damage to Kate, who, despite everything, is falling apart. I can't help but feel guilt, even though every adult I trust says that's unfair. I dream sometimes that she's standing at the foot of my dorm bed, whispering all the things she said that night. One time I woke up convinced I'd see scratch marks on my wrists again, my final start this week, and somehow, through it all, I feel weirdly hopeful. For the first time in years, I don't wake up worrying what Kate will think, or what my parents' mood will be when I walk into the kitchen, or whether what I wear or say or do will be called attention-seeking. For the moments that are peaceful, it's an entirely new feeling, and I'm grateful for it. It's been a baptism by fire into adulthood, and I'm exhausted, but I'm stubborn enough to keep going. If there's one wild lesson in all of this, I guess it's that sometimes, freedom means giving up a lot more than you ever thought you could, but what you get in return is worth it. No matter what happens next, I lived through this, and I'm the one who gets to decide where my life goes now. To anyone going through something even half this crazy, believe people when they show you what they are, even if you've known them your whole life, and take care of yourself first. No fake happy family is worth your safety, your education, or your sanity. Update 4. I'm honestly stunned how much can shift in just a matter of weeks. I know I promised my last update would be the final one, but what can I say? My life apparently isn't done being a soap opera. Finals are done. I survived. I'm still living in the dorms, and yes, my ability to microwave ramen has become borderline supernatural, but that's not even the wildest part. If you thought this story couldn't get messier, buckle up. The week after finals ended, campus officially went into summer mode, which apparently means a weird quiet. Half the students vanish, and the ones who remain are either cramming for summer courses or lying in the grass with that 1,000-yard academic stare. I finally started my job in the campus cafeteria, which is mostly scrubbing industrial trays and restocking the ice cream machine. In a strange way, I love the monotony. After months of drama, nothing is more soothing than a job where the loudest thing I hear all day is someone complaining we're out of chicken nuggets. But right after my second shift, I saw I'd received a flurry of missed calls and an email from my father. He never, ever emails me. All it said was, "Call us. Now. It is urgent." A pit opened in my stomach. I found out what happened soon after. Apparently, Kate had shown up at my parents' house, drunk, which I'd never seen or heard of her doing before, and had, according to my mom, broken down in a way that scared even them. She'd been trying to get into their locked bedroom in the middle of the night, sobbing, yelling that she wished she'd never been born, saying none of us cared if she was alive. My father actually called emergency services. They came, evaluated her, and after some serious deliberation, my parents made the decision to check her into a psychiatric hospital for at least a 72-hour hold. The next day, for the first time ever, my father called me and didn't yell. He sounded tired, a kind of bone-deep exhaustion I didn't know he was capable of admitting. He told me these last weeks have opened his eyes about Kate's mental health history. He apologized, truly apologized, for not taking her threats or my fear seriously. He said he should have seen it coming. My mother, awkward and stiff as always, was in the background, but she actually took the phone and told me she wanted all of us to see a family therapist together, this time for real, not as a loophole to move on, but because we really, really need it. Apparently, Kate's doctors told them her paranoia, jealousy, and self-harm threats might be symptoms of a deeper psychiatric disorder, not just a bad breakup. If I sound oddly neutral about this, it's because I spent the rest of that night crying so hard my friend thought I'd been physically hurt. I'm not sure if it was relief, worry, or simply grief, because it's true, I do love my sister, even after everything, and it shatters me to picture her like that. But this is where the story flips, and suddenly, my own life zoomed into chaos in a way I never saw coming. I'd told work I needed a day off so I could see a counselor myself through campus, God bless student insurance. Despite everything with Kate, it was the first time I felt like someone was finally listening, really listening, to how I felt, instead of trying to make it go away. But as I left the appointment, I got a message request on Instagram. Not spam, not some mutual, but from a total stranger. Profile picture was of a very prim golden retriever, username I didn't recognize. For the first time in my life, I let curiosity override caution and opened it. Inside were 2 photos of me. The first was me half asleep on a campus bench a few days ago, headphones on. The second was much older, a class photo snapped at a high school event, with Adam standing just nearby, and a message, "You don't know what you've done. Stop pretending." I froze, genuinely terrified. I showed Adam, who recognized the username as one that had liked his old photos, someone Kate had vented to online, apparently, from an old vent Discord server she'd been on. A quick stalk showed it was definitely some online friend of Kate's, or maybe a fake account she made herself during her spiral, but I couldn't prove it. I went straight to campus security again. I was shaky, but at this point, I was tired of being afraid. They took it extremely seriously. Someone had physically followed me and taken photos, and since Kate was now in the hospital, it probably wasn't her, directly, at least. This led to the absolute showstopper. Security reviewed campus camera footage. While they wouldn't show me, privacy or whatever, they confirmed someone unfamiliar to my friend group had indeed followed me for a short distance from the subway to campus, 2 days earlier. Was it just a weird friend of Kate's, or something more? I honestly don't know, but campus upped their security patrols near the dorms and issued a campus-wide warning about uninvited individuals trying to access student housing. While I was processing all this, my aunt, the only extended family member who's ever really liked me, reached out. It turned out my parents had finally told some of the family what was happening, not the whole truth, but enough. She invited me for dinner, and for the first time since all this started, I had a warm meal in someone's kitchen and nobody made me feel like I was the problem. She even laughed and said if my parents cut me off for good, I could move into her spare room and teach her how to use TikTok. And Adam? He took the Instagram threat like a challenge. We set up every online security measure imaginable, reported the creepy account, and he started walking me back to my dorm after every late shift, despite making a huge show of not being my bodyguard. We're still not dating. Seriously, why does half my DMs ask that? But he's the one person I don't have to explain myself to anymore. So, here's the wild, actually final update. I'm safe. Kate is getting help and, for the first time, so is my whole family. I have a job, a place to sleep, a real support system, and, now, officially, an open spot in my aunt's house if I ever need it. My relationship with my parents is a mess, but it's not the black hole I thought it would be, and I actually see a tiny path forward, maybe. I'm working with campus mental health, and for the first time, I'm not being guilt-tripped into constant forgiveness or pretending none of this happened. I realize now that sometimes surviving your family's chaos means drawing a line so hard in the sand that it takes a whole storm to wash it away, and even after the waves, there's something new on the other side. It's a weird, hard, hopeful summer, and honestly, after everything, that's enough for me right now. To anyone who recognizes themselves in any part of my story, don't wait for permission to put your safety first. Don't swallow the idea that you're selfish for not sacrificing your mental health for family drama or appearances. And above all, don't click on Instagram DMs from people with golden retrievers as their profile pic. Trust me on that one. Update 5. So, the mystery stalker incident became a sort of inflection point for everyone around me, my parents, the campus, and even for Kate, in a way I absolutely did not expect. The police ended up involved for a hot second because campus security flagged the Instagram photos and video review as possibly credible harassment. I found myself in a tiny room with 2 detectives, calmly explaining family drama that, when said aloud, made me sound like I belonged in a true crime podcast, but to their credit, they took it very seriously. They called my parents immediately to ask for names, numbers, anyone Kate might have told things to. My mom started off defensive, then anxious. My dad, for his part, tried to play this as all a misunderstanding, but it didn't fly. The shocker? The person who had followed me turned out to be very real, a girl from a nearby community college, who'd met Kate once at a house party and had apparently latched onto her in a way nobody understood. The police were able to identify her through security footage and match the username to her public Facebook. She hadn't done anything criminal, just, I guess, fed into the drama she'd heard about, but it forced everyone to realize, this wasn't just about us anymore. My parents, who up to this point had obsessed about private family shame, got a taste of what happens when your private implosion leaks beyond your own walls. That was the first domino. The real wild change started after Kate, still inpatient at the psychiatric facility, was allowed short, supervised video calls with family. My mom asked if I would do a meeting. I said yes, but only with a therapist present. She agreed. I expected Kate to scream, blame, or, at worst, stare blankly. What happened was something else. As soon as she saw me, she burst into tears. Not rage. Not self-pity. Just this exhausted, flat-out remorse. She apologized, again and again, blubbering about how she'd lost control, saying, I don't expect you to want me in your life ever again, but I just needed you to hear me say I'm sorry, not just for now, but for every year, every second I was cruel to you. I don't know what kind of medication or therapy magic has been at play, but Kate seemed nothing like the person who threatened and hated me in the weeks prior. The therapist, a woman so patient I wanted to bottle her voice and carry it with me all day, told my parents, who were also on the call, stiff and damp-eyed, that Kate is being evaluated for a mood and personality spectrum disorder. She said a lot of behavior makes sense in that context, and, more importantly, that it isn't about blame or shame, but management and boundaries. Major, it's not anyone's fault, but now we all have choices to make. Vibes. My parents wept, but for once not with accusations, just with helplessness and, eventually, relief. That call turned into several. The first time just us, then with my parents, then Kate and Adam, with his permission. Adam was stiff but shockingly composed. He said he forgives Kate, not in a let's be friends way but in a you don't need to carry my anger anymore way. He explained how afraid he'd been, how lost and frustrated. Kate listened in silence and, impossibly, apologized again. No blame. No manipulation. Just, hurt people finally being less hurtful. After that, my parents started therapy sessions of their own. They apologized, not some grand performance, but in small, awkward, sometimes circular ways. We really made this so much worse with how we ignored everything for too long. We just wanted to protect your sister, but we see now that meant ignoring you. We are not all happy families now, and I still spend most days at my aunt's or dorms, but I can stomach the occasional phone call now without needing a panic attack recovery nap. Progress. Meanwhile, I kept working the cafeteria job, signed up for another summer class, and, don't faint, actually took my aunt up on her move-in with me offer for the month between summer session and next fall. Her house is a badly decorated museum of the 90s, but she's funny and gentle and keeps the fridge full. For the first time, I don't feel like a guest in my own life. And Adam? Still not my boyfriend, he's honestly more like an honorary brother at this point, but we've developed the sort of gallows humor only people who have truly seen familial hell can share. He landed a paid internship at the nearby Science Museum, And now when the cafeteria runs out of soft serve, he brings me leftover astronaut ice cream. There are running bets among the handful of people who know our whole story about which of us will write the Netflix pitch first. As for Kate, last update from my parents is she's moving to a day program and starting on new treatment. She asked, through the therapist, if, when I'm ready, we can meet in person before the summer is out. That part is still a big question mark, but for the first time in months, I'm considering the possibility that there's a future where she's better, or at least not dangerous to me or herself. I'm careful, but no longer terrified. I can look at old photos without bracing myself for a text. I sleep through the night. In other words, trauma is real, but it isn't forever. Do I magically trust my parents now? No. They have a lot of proving to do. I'm learning to enforce boundaries and say no without explaining myself. That's its own kind of healing. My aunt reminds me, over tea and reruns, that found family is family too, that the people who show up for you when things are ugly, not just for holidays, are the ones worth holding close. There isn't a neat TV ending to this. Some days, I still grieve for the sister I wanted Kate to be. Some days, I'm so grateful to have survived it intact that even microwaved ramen feels like a 5-star meal. If anyone reading this is standing at the threshold of independence, terrified and grieving and hopeful all at once, please know it does get brighter. Even if it starts with chaos, it can end in peace.